Hi, I'm Lou.
Hi, I'm Ozla. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. In this episode, we have Lou from Chile with us. As usual, we are going to start with how we met and see where we go. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you have been doing, and all that.
Yeah. Well, I'm Lou. I'm a visual artist, I'm a designer, independent researcher, and I'm also an activist, especially for young people who live with HIV. My creative practice emerges from my lived experience as I'm HIV positive person. I am part of Heavy, which is translated to young people and students live with HIV, which is like a funny play with words with heavy because in Latin America, when something is shocking or awesome, we say, "Oh, that's heavy."
Yeah.
So we give support to young people live with HIV. We also create campaigns all related to young people live with HIV. And I'm currently working at AHF as coordinator for Latin America and the Caribbean, creating campaigns and watching all the design stuff that is happening for Latin America. So yeah.
She's a busy girl. How long have you been living with HIV? I don't think I know that.
Oh, 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 mine or yours? Do you know where
I
you
know
were
how long I've been living
diagnosed?
with it. Yours. How long have you
um,
been living with
I
HIV?
was I was diagnosed in 2018, so it's been 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 7 years living with
Yeah,
HIV.
I was diagnosed in 2016. Almost 10
Oh,
years. Girl, we're not in
yeah,
our
yeah,
20s
yeah.
anymore. We just gave away our ages.
No, but I mean, it feels weird, but because I mean, I don't have the feelings that it's been 7 years. Do you have the feelings that it's been like 10 years after the diagnosis, or?
But in a way, so much has happened in these 8 years that I've been living with
True.
HIV. It feels like maybe 20 years, but also we have now known each other for 3 years. I feel like we met last year. Oh,
Yay.
do you remember how did we meet the first time?
Yeah, in the AIDS in Montreal because we were
In the
invited.
AIDS.
In the 8th 2024, yeah. In Montreal because we were invited to create some content and show people what they were talking about there. And I remember that it was like an instant connection. Like we became besties like really fast, and I really liked that. I was like, oh, I love Ozla so much. I remember it was pretty quick. I don't know what you remember from that. Maybe you hated me for a moment. I was like, oh, that bitch. I hate that bitch.
Internally, I was rolling my eyes the whole time. I hated every. No, I think our faggotry was shining across the room, and I remember we entered the room, and I was like, "I'm gonna go talk to her." But yeah, was that your first AIDS conference?
No, I went to the 2019 in Mexico, but that was the ES international thing. It was more the scientific one. And I was like
Mm-hmm.
not understanding anything, but I was like, okay, I come here to learn, so I'm gonna try to listen and learn something from this. But no, I mean it was pretty interesting because it's always give you the opportunity to talk to other people and meet other people from other places. So that was cute. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
the first one that I attended
yeah.
too.
International AIDS Society has several major conferences, right? The one we met is International AIDS
Yeah.
Conferences, and they have a huge community village, as we talked with Luciana. But yeah, we attended the full conference together. We had various activities, and we went to sessions and took a bunch of cute videos and created content together. What was your favorite moment from the conference? Do you remember?
Besides meeting you and all the people that we met there, I remember this trans space where I met especially trans men talking about their experiences, and it was a really beautiful moment for me to see and watch and talk. And I remember this person especially talking about when he was diagnosed and everything wasn't like going very well. He literally said, I don't want to die before transitioning. And it was like a really strong and emotional moment for me to hear that because I mean, at that moment, I was identifying just as non-binary, but now I'm just going for a transgender girl. One of the main things that made me just, you know, go for it like full, it was that thing that happened in Montreal. But yeah, what do you remember? What's special for you?
We went to this gathering at this terrace within the conference space where we met with a bunch of Canadian people living with HIV, and we were
Mm.
talking to them, and they were mostly a bit older than us,
Yeah.
and the issues that we had in our lives were so different. So we know so many people living with HIV from all around the world, right? And sometimes our challenges and issues in life are overlapping and we can relate to each other. But sometimes, either because of where we come from or who we are, or for whatever reason, sometimes we do not correlate at all. Do you remember that meeting?
I remember that I had a breakdown because wait, I remember because we saw the program and we was like, okay, that sounds cute, let's go. Because it was like an intergenerational thing because they were like old generations with HIV talking with new generations talking with HIV, and I
Yeah.
remember that it was like this cute girl that she was born with HIV and she was like so fab and she was like so wonderful and she was talking about her experience. And yeah, it was a lot because the conversation was a lot, but then well, a friend died in that year and I had a breakdown after that conversation because I was like, my friend didn't have the same opportunities as this guy. I mean, I'm not criticizing. I was like just comparing like the two experiences from Canada and from Chile, and I was like really like moved and emotional about it. Yeah, it was. I forgot that it was a lot. It was like really cool, but it was a lot for me. Like the whole thing.
You know, I remember that moment because I remember the moment that you had, and I had a similar moment at a European conference called EACS. I don't even remember which year, 2017, I think. So when I first got
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed, I started getting trained by this European network, and then they took me to this European HIV conference, and I met a bunch of gay men living with HIV since 80s, 90s, right? And I was being me. I was being maybe too bubbly. I don't know. I was excited to leave Turkey. I was excited to go see other queer people living with HIV. So I'm just going around the conference, being myself and meeting people and talking to them. I remember one of them had a snarky comment about me. Like, a friend of mine introduced me to them, and
Mm-hmm.
they literally ignored me completely, looked at each other, and then said, "You know, young people these days, they don't understand the struggles." And I was like, "I'm sorry, but your Western European ass actually has no idea what I am going through in Turkey in late 2010s. Because you don't know, because you do not care enough to know. You have done your advocacy in your country and got your rights, and now you're fine, maybe, but I am not, my friends are not." And I remember how annoyed I was in that moment, but I was still such an introvert back then. I did not, I could not confront them. I could not lash out. I could not respond. I just got
Mm-hmm.
so annoyed. And I said, like, "You actually do not know what is it like living with HIV in Turkey, do you?" And then I just left. And I was like, I am not going to entertain this at all. But yeah, these kind of clashes happen at the conferences, and I kind of like them.
They're interesting. They're interesting all the time. But yeah, no, I mean, I remember that the one in Montreal, it was cute because these people, I mean, this I'm gonna say all people, but I don't mean it in a mean way. But these all people were different. I remember that they were really open to hear and being really, I don't know, comforting about our experiences and hearing about our experiences too. So it was like a really good moment to, a safe space to share. And I think we do not have that all the time because there are like these other activists that really judge you all the time, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
you know nothing, bitch. So like, shut the fuck up. But there's these other people that even though they live maybe work experiences or other experiences, they're just open to talk and listen, which is a really hard thing to do sometimes.
Yeah, I think maybe the issue is in these intergenerational conversational spaces, it is kind of expected for the knowledge to flow from the elder generation to the younger generation
Yeah.
because, you know, they were
Yeah.
there when the epidemic was just beginning and there were no treatments, nothing. So they had to do hardcore advocacy. Yes, true. Tell me. I want to know. I want to know my history. I want to know our collective history. Absolutely. But do you know what it means to be in my space, in my position, in whatever 2020s? You don't. So this cannot be only a one-way conversation, because I am still doing advocacy because I need to gain the rights that you maybe have secured in the 90s or early 2000s. Yes, it is important for me to understand our history, but it is just as important, if not more, for you to understand my lived experience. And you should also support my advocacy. Because at the end of the day, now your governments are funding governments, whereas mine is not doing much at all to reach my community. So you should continue holding your government accountable for my access to services, because the story didn't finish with your lived experience. Mine just started, right? No, a decade ago, but
No, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. But it was a cute moment, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for bringing that up because I really forgot it. Maybe because it was like too traumatic for a moment, but yeah, that was one of the moments that I really like. And it was also cute because it was like in this beautiful space. It was really intimate because it was like just five people or six
yeah.
people like that. And yeah, it was really cute because everything is always like too crowded and it's always like too many people and I always get like really anxious about too many people around me and I'm like, oh please shut up and I need some silence. And I remember that we went there because it was also like really quiet, like no one was there, no one was going
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
You know what my favorite moment was from that conference? Mercy and I used to write for AIDS Map, and we had
Mm-hmm.
an editorial meeting one night during the conference. But they booked the editorial meeting in a restaurant that was extremely loud, and I was one of the few non-native English speakers and non-Brits at the table. And I was like, guys, I can barely hear you. I'm having a horrible, horrible migraine. Like, I want to join the conversation. I want to follow up, but like, first, your accents. Second, the loudness of this restaurant. I was literally gonna kill myself from the migraine. And then I don't know who even told me, but there was a Trixie Mattel concert happening because it was really close to the Pride of Montreal. And somehow we ended up going watching her while it's raining and just getting drunk and dancing in Montreal right before the Pride. I remember turning to the
It
table.
was
I was like,
beautiful.
it was gorgeous. I remember turning to the table and I was like, guys, I have a headache and I just realized there's a drag show. So I'm gonna go to a drag concert. Bye. They were like,
No, but I love you because you told me to like, bitch, I'm going here. Trixie Mattel is giving a concert, like a free concert. I was like, what? And I was with some people. It was like, you bitches, you're coming with me now because we need to go there. Like, we need to go there now. And oh yeah, it was so beautiful. And the rain was like, it was so like,
gorgeous.
oh my goodness, I feel like a movie. Like this is like protagonist shit. Like I really love this moment. Yeah, it was so pretty. So it was like really like emotional thing.
It was so good. And if I remember correctly, we didn't really have like data, internet, but we somehow found each other inside the crowd. Am I remembering this
No,
correctly? Did we have Wi-Fi
no, I
or
didn't have.
internet?
No, nothing. And it was really funny because when for example, if I wanted to go somewhere, I just remember the map. And then I
Yeah.
know that Google Map has like this tracking thing. So I can know where I am and I know where I'm going. But besides that, like I couldn't like
Nothing
search
else.
anything. Yeah, no, nothing. I didn't have no internet, no nothing.
I think it was the same for me. Like maybe it was the courage of our 20s. I would definitely do the same thing again. But we basically talked when we had internet, left the locations that we were at with Wi-Fi, and dropped a pin and said, let's meet there at a concert. And we managed to find each other at the concert on the rain and then just got drunk and lived our lives. I loved it so much.
It
Okay,
was
in the post,
beautiful.
it was gorgeous. In the podcast, I also want to have a section called Red Ribbon Rant. This is a part for us, well, for you to bring up a topic and rant about it. And then we can elaborate more on it and see what our takes are on it. So, is there something that you would like to rant, complain, and bitch about within the HIV movement or broader sexual and reproductive health and rights movement? Anything.
Oh, girl, there's so many things that I would like to talk about. Like, so many things, especially in this moment where we are being attacked some cuts are being made. But what do you think about talking about disclosure on Grindr? Like how?
Ooh.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's weird because sometimes I'm really wanna go out there and be like, yeah, I live with HIV, like, shut
Get
up.
over it.
Uh, yeah, but then I'm also because okay, so story time. When I've never had like bad experiences on Grindr. I mean, HIV
Did you not have
related,
any bad
not that bad.
experiences on Grindr? Really?
Not that.
That's lucky.
Yeah, no, but wait. Because maybe not. Because I haven't had like bad experiences in terms of like people being assholes. Well, I mean, they're always assholes, but the thing is, I had these two experiences. The first one, I was threatened by this
Threatened.
guy. Threatened, thank you, by this guy who basically saw that I live with HIV. I rejected him, and then he started talking shit and say that he was going to kill me, that he knew where I lived, and I was like, okay, you don't first know where I live, so good luck with that. But at the same time, I was like, do I really want to maybe share my status to everyone in this stupid app where there's people that maybe do not have all the information, etc. Because sometimes you wanna, like educate people and go like, yeah, I can have sex, I can be free, and I can do whatever I want, like, blah blah blah. But at the same time, it just costs you time, like emotional things and time. So maybe I don't know. Sometimes I want to be like a real activist on Grindr, and then I'm like, no, maybe I just want to have sex and just
Yeah,
suck some
move
dicks and
on.
be happy. Yeah. Hmm.
So I was in Turkey when I was diagnosed, right? And then I moved to Germany. And I remember when I moved to Berlin, there I saw so many guys on Grindr that just put positive, HIV positive, and maybe HIV positive and undetectable. And I remember how freeing it felt at that moment. And I was like, you know what? I'm in fucking Berlin. I'm also gonna put it. And I was like, damn you girls, I'm gonna put my HIV status and I'm gonna put undetectable next to it. It wasn't much of an issue. It was fine. But then I moved back to Turkey after a couple of months and I completely forgot that it was there. And well, Grindr is banned in Turkey, but we also have another app called Hornet. And I remember as soon as I landed, went home, met with my friends, we were kikiing and having fun, and I went on Hornet because I was feeling whatever I was feeling at the moment. And as soon as I opened it, the messages started coming, and there was this guy I will never forget. He blamed me for everything wrong on Earth. He was like, "You guys are the problems. You shouldn't be allowed to be on this app." Blah 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 blah. And I was like,
Hmm.
"You need to have joined and calm down, and then like do whatever else you want to do, but leave me alone." But yeah, I at the
Hmm.
moment I think have a strange relationship. Every couple of months, I put it on and then take it off. And I just had a guy messaging me on an app, some very graphic lines, and then asking for my pause load, and I was like, okay, this got out of hand. So I removed it again. And
So,
sometimes when I'm having a dry spell, let's call it, I sometimes think, oh, maybe it's because of my HIV status and how open I am about it. And then I remove it. I think at the moment it is removed.
yeah, no, same. I also remember this guy, which it was also very very funny because I don't know if he recognized me being an activist here or something, or he saw my profile because I also share a lot of things on my Instagram, so people can know that I live with HIV because
Mm.
I'm always like, yeah, I live with HIV and I'm fine, etc., etc. But I remember he said literally, you shouldn't be using this app. You shouldn't be like being an example for other people. And I was like, wait, you say that because I'm an activist, I'm not allowed to have sex with Grindr? Like, please explain. And he was like, yeah, no, you cannot do these things. And there was like this moral shit where I should be, acting like a I don't know, like I work in church or something because I was like, dude, my point is for y'all to be free, like to
Yeah.
be free and be happy. Like, why are you bringing this to me? And it was so funny, it was so weird. And I wasn't pissed. I was just like, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, first, why
Yeah.
you use your time to tell people what to do, especially other people that are working for you, literally, and then not allowing them to be happy and and experience pleasure in the way they want to. It was so funny because people, they're always saying that we need to behave a certain way, and not being sluts basically, which I basically am. So I was like, no, if I want to be a slut, like I want to be a slut and be happy. Just let me be, because I'm not like
Let me live my
teaching.
life.
Yeah, I'm teaching people how to be happy sluts. Whatever. Like,
So
yeah.
what?
Yeah,
No,
so
like
what?
while listening to you, so many things came up in my mind. There is this thing in academia or in scholarly work called viral anxiety. So many
Okay.
queer people carry that because we were exposed to so much prevention material. We are at the back of our head, basically, all afraid of getting HIV, right? We have this anxiety
Mm,
about HIV. I know so many people that are obsessed about not getting HIV and using condoms, doing everything they can do to be as safe as possible, which is great. And maybe I was also one of those people a little bit, but it did not work because condoms are not 100% effective. So the conversation doesn't end there and it shouldn't end there. You also need to understand what is it like to be living with HIV, because at the end of the day, if you're having
mm,
sex, unless you live somewhere where new preventative medications and injections are available, because they're much, much more effective now these days, they weren't at our time. So I got the experience firsthand after getting diagnosed. Actually, that viral anxiety kind of disappeared, so I could explore my sexuality a bit more and way
totally.
more freely. But then there was a different
Mm,
type of viral anxiety because then I was afraid of passing it on to someone else. That could also be
yeah.
classified as a viral anxiety, I think. But with U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable, there is no possibility of someone on HIV treatment whose viral load is suppressed. You cannot transmit it. So that viral anxiety is also now resolved mostly in my head. But what I could not kind of resolve is disclosure. Like I had so many weird moments where I disclosed to people about my HIV status. Um, I am not the girl who tries to disclose before getting sexually involved in anything because I do not think it's any of your business. And in the country that I live in, it's not a crime not to disclose. But there are also other
Mm,
countries around the world where it is actually a crime not to disclose. So people living with HIV have to tell their sexual partners before they do anything. Thankfully, that is not the case in Switzerland, so I do not. But that also led to some crazy, stupid moments where I disclosed to people after sex or while in them, or weird things happen. But do you have a strategy about disclosing?
in my case, I never do that because again, I usually have sex with people I know. Or I've been doing that lately. I mean, first, my sex life haven't been like the best lately, like these few months, but just because I'm in another process, like mentally, emotionally, etc. So I'm not doing that stuff. But when I did, I usually have sex with people I know, so they know that I live with HIV. But the thing is, when I talk with other people living with HIV, they're too anxious about telling other people or feeling like this pressure about they need to
Yeah.
tell people that they live with HIV just to protect them, which is like horrible thing to think. I always tell them, no, do not do that. Like, if you're taking your medications, if you're undetectable, you're not putting people in danger. So you do not have the need to share that because that can expose
Yeah.
you to violence. Like, and I know some people that even trying to have this educative moment, like trying to teach people and educate people, they, well, the response is not always a good one, you know, like, and some people get really violent and are like, oh, why you done this to me, or why you didn't tell me before. It doesn't change the fact
Mhm.
that you maybe had a good experience with the other people, you know, like not knowing that people live or not with HIV. So I always say tell people not to because I prefer or I always protect my people to say it like in some way because I know that we face more violence than other people that are not even in danger, you know. So it's like, dude, you're not gonna like acquire the virus anyway. So why are you being so pissed about it? And it's really funny because even though some people has this gentle thing to tell other people and be like, okay, I'm gonna share with this with you, which is like really special, like really intimate. It's really funny that they're at like that with people that tells them that they live with HIV, but they go to the forest or somewhere else to suck some dick or have some sex, even that we don't know in the name, and they're not like very angry to not know like if they live with HIV or not. So I'm always like at least this person
The
told you
hypocrisy,
that,
right?
yeah, like at least these people told you that they live with HIV. Like, why are you acting like this when they're trying to educate you and give you information? Like why so ungrateful where you're like literally sucking dick without knowing the names of other people? Like, no, that's just shit to me. So I'm always like, do
It
not tell people
absolutely
that you live with
is.
HIV. Like, you have no need to tell other people that you live with HIV. And some people have come to me like, oh, that's so irresponsible. Like, okay, that's a really uneducated perspective from it, but okay, like
You know what we
maybe
should
get some
do?
info
Like,
and then
so many memories came up while listening to you. Maybe we should have a whole season of this podcast dedicated to living with HIV and stories of us disclosing our status to our partners. Maybe that would be fun. If you think that would be fun and you would like to take part in that or would be interested in listening, leave comments and tell us we should make this happen. Because I feel like this type of the conversation isn't as accessible as it should be. And I've been around and I had so many crazy moments with guys where I was actually maybe in physical danger or where I was accused of something else. But what you said, I do not tell people not to tell or to tell, but I always say, first of all, make sure what the laws are and maybe try to act accordingly so you cannot be incriminated because people living with HIV are highly criminalized in many, many countries. So I do not want anyone from my community to be criminalized based on advice that I have given them. So I always try to take this legal precaution or be aware of the situations in their country. But again, I also say you do not have to if you're undetectable and there's no possibility of you transmitting it to
yeah.
someone else. What are we talking about? The possibility is zero, none. So why do you put this much pressure and responsibility on me? It is not my responsibility to keep you safe, actually. And you are safe because I am undetectable. So I do not have to deal with you not accepting science. We could argue maybe as a community we should try to keep each other safe, but you are already, if I'm undetectable, then you're just an ignorant person who doesn't believe in science, and I don't have to deal with that. And as activists, it is kind of our job to educate people, but I don't want to do it while I'm cruising or on dating app while everyone's going crazy. I'm there advocating for our rights on Grindr. Stupid. Let me live.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing, and maybe that's why I also don't like the word activist, because that leads just certain people to educate other people when everyone should be educated, like everyone should
Yeah,
have the
absolutely.
information, everyone should be helping each other just to create a better community. Because right now there's just some people like, working and having all this in their backs, and I'm like, no, like we shouldn't be the only people working for y'all, like we all should be working for each other, because it's just a responsibility from all the people to create a better community. And I don't like where we're the only ones who need to be working or spending our
Yeah.
time and spending our emotional energy to, create a better space, a better community, a more educated community. No, everyone should be doing this. Like everyone should be informing themselves just to be better people, like, and it's so frustrating. That's so frustrating.
It
And
is.
that maybe I don't like when people call me an activist, or I see other people being this untouchable people. It's like, no,
I
like
am not
we all
untouchable.
should
Touch
be.
me.
Please do. No, but I don't like when people are like this, or maybe giving the responsibility to other people. No, we really all need to be working together, especially in these times,
Yeah.
no, it's
Okay,
frustrating.
we need to have another episode about disclosure and maybe a whole season, as I said. Let's see if we'll get some feedback from people watching and maybe we make
I
this
love
happen. But
to.
I think we
Yeah.
have rented enough. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about in this episode? Because I'm having the feeling we're going to have many, many other episodes together. So, in this episode, is there anything else you wanted to highlight that we didn't touch upon? How do you feel?
Um, Maybe the other thing is that I really want to see more stories like from other
Right.
people live with HIV, because I have the feeling that I always see the same faces, and I really want to hear other stories. I really want to hear other people talking about how it's been for them live with HIV. So, and I want to see that in campaigns, not like medical campaigns teaching how we're not something bad for other people, but just talking about our stuff. I want to see more of that. Ah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna close with that maybe. Like, yeah, I want to see other stories. So yeah, please, let's talk about disclosure in other episode. Like, bring other people. Like, yeah, I want to see more other people talking about.
I agree
Yeah.
100%. I appreciate you so much, and I have missed seeing your gorgeous face so much. Let's do this more and catch up more and have
Yeah.
more conversations and put our stories out there. And with that, I think we are wrapping up our episode. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing some of your life with us. Until next episode, see you then. Bye.
Bye.